I don't try and consider myself an influencer and like the give me a free hotel room, Kim Kardashian, buy all this stuff from me kind of vibe, but
Mhm.
more of like seeing how my page can help somebody make different choices. So I guess influencer is the exact word, but inspirer, if that's a real one, because I've had people tell me they feel like they are seen and that there's a community for them, even if they're not local to where I am, because of what I post.
Hey, hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and if you can't tell by my voice, I am very excited to share today's guest with you. Her name is Sharadyn. She is a hiker slash backpacker slash influencer, aka inspirer in Colorado, in my neck of the woods, which you know I love. And we just chat about so many things from Sharadyn's journey moving from the Midwest to Colorado and starting to dabble in backpacking, but realizing that it didn't really feel like a welcoming place, or there weren't really places that she could go to have her questions answered online, to how she calls herself an inspirer instead of maybe an influencer so much, to actually legit marketing techniques and tips, Instagram tactics. How many keywords can I use, right? For marketing yourself on Instagram. And she specifically shares a lot of tips for reels, which I personally, after hearing her tips, after interviewing her, have like taken and run with and implemented. And I swear they're amazing and they work. So I cannot wait to share this conversation with you. If you do enjoy it, make sure that you share this episode to your Instagram stories and tag us both so that we can see it and reshare it and spread the love right back to you, my friend, because we would both love to connect with you over there. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this amazing conversation with this super badass, awesome, rad woman. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability booty whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. Hi, Sharadyn. I'm so excited to have you on the Feel Good Social podcast, lady. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Kins.
Yes. Well, I did already introduce you just a little bit in the intro, but I always like to ask people in your words, who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
Yeah, so I am Sharadyn and I run both a blog and an Instagram page called Sharadyn Roams. And there I serve adults who are interested in getting outdoors for the first time in their life. I teach people how to hike, camp, and backpack.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I love your page so much. And I love how like accessible you make it. Because I have totally been there too. I consider myself an adventurer and I've done a lot of hiking and all that stuff, but definitely like moving to Colorado, there's all these different types of things that you can do. And you see all these like crazy, like built, like buff people. And it's kind of intimidating, right? So, how did you get started in all this stuff?
Yeah. So I moved to Colorado kind of on a coin toss and a little bit of a nudge from my partner. So I wanted to move to the Pacific Northwest. I came from Illinois, and you could not pay me enough to stay in Illinois after I graduated undergrad. And I wanted Seattle, and my partner was like, no way can I handle the rain. And so I was like, all right, let's flip a coin. So we flipped, it landed on Seattle, and he said no. So we came to Denver
Hilarious.
instead. But growing up, you couldn't pay me to go outdoors. There was one time where my dad and my stepmom proposed we take a family vacation to the Grand Canyon, and I stood my ground. I was like, why on earth would we drive 25 hours to look at a big hole in the ground and sleep outside where there are bugs and no air conditioning? And I just refused. So that didn't happen. And then it's very contrasted to how I am now. So moving to Colorado, I had no experience with the outdoors, and I tried to learn through Facebook groups, and I got trolled really hard. I am not a small person, so a lot of the advice I got was very fat phobic. It was very leave Colorado, stop moving here, which is a big sentiment of people who've lived in Colorado before the boom, all these transplants. And so I kind of just figured it out, trial and error. And I know that there were a lot more people like me. So I started the Instagram to kind of create a judgment-free zone of the outdoors and learning how to do things in the outdoors and just foster a space that no question is a dumb question.
Oh, wow. I'm like, oh, thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you so much for doing what you do. Seriously, because I'm like I get goosebumps when I think about that because it's so true. Like, and I feel that, I've lived in Colorado myself for almost 8 years now, maybe somewhere around that amount. And it's so true. And, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the get out of here transplants, like all the tourists. And it's true, the state has completely boomed so much just since I've lived here even, but it's so disheartening to finally be somewhere where you want to like live, where you're excited to be and all that stuff. And then like have people like telling you don't belong, right?
Exactly.
Whether it's because you're from somewhere else or because of the way you look or anything like that. And so I'm so glad that you're doing this. What has been the response for your Instagram page?
Mostly good. I get a lot more positive comments than negative, but recently I had a reel go viral, and it has been very negative in the comment section. And so I am still pretty new to the trolls as far as like being on more of the side where I'm trying to be aware of how I respond and just trying to do that delicately, because on one hand, you have these people who feel very passionately about protecting the outdoors, and I agree with that sentiment, but they're very outspoken in ways that I don't agree with, and just trying to bridge the gap and come from a place of understanding of, I understand you grew up here and it's frustrating that you have to get permits to do things that you used to just go do whenever you felt like it. And now it's not that case. So I try and think about both sides when I respond, but it's been mostly positive.
Yeah, man, lady, that is a strength building activity for sure. I can't imagine like what you're going through. And I personally know, I've had people on other podcasts ask me like, how do you deal with the trolls? And I'm like, I think I'm like kind of small beans. Like I actually haven't gotten a lot of like troll comments or anything, but what were you gonna say?
The way I mostly deal with them is I ignore them. Unless if the comment is super offensive to like a group of people, or it's like just straight up bullying, I'll leave it up because it's another side to the argument. But there one guy, and I think he's a 13-year-old based on his profile, who was trolling me hard and like using all sorts of language that I just don't stand for. So I'll delete those comments, but I'll leave the other ones up and just thank them for their engagement silently and scroll on.
Oh, lady, I'm just over here so impressed, so amazed by your strength of character, let's call it, or whatever, because true, right? Like it is so easy to get, it's easy to get wrapped up in that, but that's so like awesome the way that you handle that, right? Like it's something to be thoughtful about. And that's what I always do too. Even with like the robot comments, I'm like,
Yes.
well, I've started reporting, like I report them and then I usually block them, which ends up like deleting the comment from my thing. But like, ultimately it's a comment, I guess it's helping to boost and stuff like that. And I don't think that it needs a response unless like it's negative or super hateful or anything like that. But yeah, it's so interesting, like deciding for yourself, what are my community guidelines, right? And then what will I allow in the comment section of my posts and what will I not allow? Like what is cause for like a discussion, what is like just cause for ignoring, and what is like something that should be removed because it's not within my community guidelines. Is it something that you've like developed over time or?
Yeah. So mainly if it would make someone super angry and not feel comfortable in the comment space, especially because I'm trying to make my page a place for people who are new and people who may have had poor experiences on Reddit or in Facebook groups. If it would impact their experience, I delete it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just like a criticism of a bigger problem, I leave it because that's a opening for a conversation.
Girl, it's like slow clapping over here. I love you so much. I wish I could just like reach through the screen and hug you right now. But yeah, it's so true. I was just listening to Brene Brown recently put out a podcast episode about censorship versus misinformation, free speech, like that sort of stuff. And it's super, super interesting. I don't know if you saw like the whole big Spotify Joe Rogan dilemma thing. And then Brene like put up a post on Instagram that was like, hey guys, we're pausing podcasts for the time being, right? And she didn't say anything else, but then like the comment section went viral. Like this whole,
of course,
you can imagine, you know what I mean? Like just like tons of like, it's just the internet freaking spurs such hate, such trolls. I was laughing so much at your 13-year-old that you have to like, I hope you block him because like 13-year-olds are the worst.
I'm like, you're barely old enough to be on Instagram.
Yeah. What? Okay. So personally, I do, and I have not had to deal with like as many trolls online as you have. Like in a way, it shows like how like important your message is and how like amazing like your visibility is getting and like how you are reaching more people and all that stuff. But then like that visibility does bring in like the worst, the trash of the internet. Let's go.
I'm avoiding TikTok.
Yeah. Oh man, I know. Like I know. I think I made like a little joke about that in one of my captions the other day. Like, okay, Instagram, like people aren't as judgy as like you really think in your head they're going to be, like, except for, or what did I say? I don't know. But I think Twitter, YouTube, I didn't know TikTok's a troll haven too.
It is.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, why can't we all just peace and love? But whatever, it's the world, right? So I do personally know, I don't know if you feel this, like, let me know. But like for me, I get like, I try so hard and I have to intentionally focus on all of the love I get, right? Because the love truly does outweigh the negative comments, like in quantity. But like myself, my inner mind does not weigh them the same for whatever reason, like naturally, right? Like if I get tons and tons and tons of love, and then there's one bad review on the Feel Good Social podcast, or one negative comment or questionable something, it's like my entire like soul deflates. So like, I don't know if you feel that way, but like, how do you deal with that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I think a while ago, I heard a statistic, and I'm probably quoting it wrong because it's been years, and it's like one bad thing, like one bad comment or like critique of you, like undoes 50 of the positive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't quite have a good system to manage my Instagram notifications. Like it only shows me like 20, and I just haven't figured out how to look at more. So once it's out of that 20, I don't go searching for it. Like I don't go through all my posts to see who exactly commented and what they commented. I will go through and like see if anybody has any questions or anything, but I, for the most part, like to focus on the good things that are happening with the page. So I have never gotten a DM about something negative. I've only gotten DMs about positive things or questions that they want to learn more about, or a question of like, hey, how does this fit with Leave No Trace? And like questions like that are more coming from a place of wanting to learn or at least understand why my position on something is the way it is. And so I just focus on those. And then I switch to my personal account and look at videos of dogs. So
Oh, yeah, like a video of a puppy or a cat like will
yeah.
totally change my day. That is such a great idea. Like I've actually never thought about intentionally doing that. Honestly, what I do, I screenshot every freaking amazing like comment or DM that I get, where it's like, oh wow, thanks for sharing that. Or I just wanted to let you know, like that podcast episode was great. Like I have a whole, like I will just, if I get something and I can feel myself like being like, you suck, Kins, or whatever, I'll be like, nope, go to the photos folder and go find a good DM and remind yourself, like, no, people love you, actually. I don't know. I think I have some work to do in the self-love area still.
That's a real thing, though. I heard it called like the sunshine folder.
Oh my gosh. I love sunshine folder. I've not heard it called that, but yes, probably going to have to start calling it that now. Okay, so before we started recording, I asked you if you would consider yourself an influencer, just because, I think that some people feel a certain way about that word or whatever it is and stuff.
Yeah.
So could you tell us how you feel about the word influencer?
I feel like it has a bad rap. I don't try and consider myself an influencer and like the give me a free hotel room, Kim Kardashian, buy all this stuff from me kind of vibe, but more of like seeing how my page can help somebody make different choices. So more of like, I guess influencer is the exact word, but inspirer, if that's a real one, because I've had people tell me that they feel like they are seen and that there's a community for them, even if they're not local to where I am, because of what I post. There was one post I made this week and it was about belonging in the outdoors. And it doesn't matter like your shape, how heavy your backpack is, how new your gear is, or like how much you weigh or how fast you are. And the response to that has been very surprising, given that it's a feed post and I have a relatively small account. And so more of that, of like inspiring people to do the things that they want and for them to know that there is room for you where you make it. If that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Oh, like I always talk with my hands and it's really bad when it comes to the podcast because I'm like knocking things over. But I love that like a reframe for sure. And I agree with you. Like, like there's a good and a bad side of everything in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's like the good, the people who you admire doing things and the people who you don't necessarily admire doing the same things and stuff. Right. So I think that you're right. Influencer, the word has somewhat gotten a bad rap. And I also think that somewhat there's something like it's the world shifting, right? Like social media is still very new in this grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And like just people overcoming and understanding what this looks like in the world, right? And so people showing up as influencers in the beginning, like it just needs to be normalized. That's all. And I don't think there's any shame in like the influencer industry. It's just something new that we need to wrap our mind around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about like inspirer. I'm going to start calling it that too. You're just giving me all these great new words and definitions today, lady. Do you do brand deals? Have you partnered with brands quite yet or not yet?
So I have a few. I've partnered with Survival Med University and they do wilderness first aid and wilderness first responder courses. And I love it because the price point is way more accessible than some of the other large names out there. And you don't need to be in a classroom all weekend. When I took wilderness first aid, it was like a 12-hour day Saturday, a 12-hour day Sunday, and it was over $300, which is expensive. And that's a barrier to a lot of people, both price and location. And I'm a true believer that if you're going to go outside, especially by yourself, you need to know what to do when 911 is not an option. And that's what wilderness first aid really focuses on is more of like a day hike distance. And then wilderness first responder focuses more on the longer distances. So kind of the cutoff is like 8 hours ish of like when you're out and about, because if you're out for longer than 8 hours, you're going to need to know how to hunker down for the night and wait for search and rescue or to get yourself out of a situation. And that's the skill to know how to take care of yourself when you encounter an illness or injury, whether it's yourself or someone you come across on the trail. That's like the one class I think people should spend money on. Like you can learn how to read maps through practice using apps and a paper map side by side. You can learn how to do a whole bunch of stuff by watching YouTube videos, but what makes the first aid classes different is that there's like hands-on skills assessments and practicing, and that's not something you can fully get for free. Sometimes you can, but like finding it is really difficult, and that's like the one thing I think you should spend money on.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, wait. I know, and I actually have not done one. Like now you're like, oh shoot, I gotta go take one of those. But I so agree with you, right? There's like certain things, like especially, and I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, also I was totally laughing when you introduced yourself and you're telling us your story and you're like, all I do is I need a GTFO of Illinois. Because I don't know if you know this about me, but I grew up until like 10 years old in Montana in the middle of the mountains. And then my family, quote unquote, moved back home because my entire family is from Indiana. So they moved me out of the mountains, plopped me in the middle of a cornfield. That was fun. It was the worst thing. I was like, I have to get out. Right. So that was kind of my story too, coming back to Colorado. But, like so many people move here and it's amazing. Yeah. And like, I welcome like all the new people. Like I fully, like, I know how transformational the mountains have been in my life, and travel, but all these people don't realize how freaking dangerous it is. Like there's so many things that can just happen spontaneously that you can't control. Right.
Exactly. Like how simple it is to slip on some loose rocks, especially in the Rocky Mountains, and twist your ankle, and then you can't walk on it. And you're like, oh crap, what do I do? And you go into panic mode when there are like ways you can calm yourself down and just think logically through the steps. Because if you slide down 50 feet and you're not on the trail, someone walking by probably won't see you because we're all in our own little worlds. So,
you just need to know how to be safe, And so I love that that's one of the brands that you're partnering with. That's amazing. Yeah. Did you just, to get a little social media marketing like interested, did you like approach them or did they approach you, or how did that like kind of partnership develop?
Yeah, it happened really organically. I started following them and just talking to them. And then it led to them asking me if I wanted to be a partner. And that was before I even had 1,000 followers. So it's possible to do when you're little. So
yeah, I love that permission too. And exactly. And, I haven't done a lot of influencer work. I have like studied like influencer marketing, like somewhat and stuff like that. I think that there's different levels of influencer, right? Yeah. And they have like, the names like nano influencer, micro influencer, macro, I don't know, like all those different levels. Yeah. But I think the smaller following influencers like are awesome for brands to partner with because you are like so much more like, I guess close with your community at that point. Like when you start to get a giant following, you can't really nurture everyone, and so people tend to trust the people with smaller followings more so,
Yeah, there's like conversations that happen with the people who are following you, which is something I really like, because it's weird because like I talk to some people so often, almost every day, but I've never met them in real life and I don't know their actual names, just like their Instagram handle.
Yeah, like backpacker girl 134.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. And I feel you too. It's so funny. And it makes me so happy, because like I have so many friends who, like, since starting Feel Good Social, who I've like never met in real life ever,
Yeah.
and like, or even talked to face to face. Like, this is our first time talking face to face, and but it still feels the same, right? And I think that was something that was a big cornerstone of Feel Good Social when I first started out. Like, just like not wanting social media to feel icky, right? And especially when it was
Yeah.
first starting out, it felt kind of fake, disconnected, like showy. And so I really wanted to like drive home the fact like you can use social media in a genuine way to make genuine connections. Like, you know what I mean? Did you ever have that feeling?
Oh yeah. Like when I started my page, so I've changed the name many times, and I actually started the Instagram account that this has developed from like back in 2017. And I was doing something that was so not me. And I stopped. And then I've gone back and like deleted all the posts because they're super cringy. And then when I decided to actually start it as a hiking focused page, when I started, I was like trying to be really authoritative and like sound like I knew everything instead of being that real person that I am. And I'm like, I'm not a thru hiker. I haven't done the Appalachian Trail or Appalachian Trail. I haven't hiked from Mexico to Canada. My interest in that is also not super high. And that's a weird thing to say with an outdoor page, is that you don't really want to walk 2,000 miles and sleep out of a tent for 6 months.
Oh, wait, I have to just pause and laugh with my listeners right now because like, yeah, like I loved that sentence. That's kind of a weird thing to say on an outdoor page that I don't want to walk 2,000 miles. And sleep outside for months, right? I have a through hiker friend who I adore, but like I have had that exact same experience. I'm like, good for you, girl. Like, would I love to have your calves? Yes. Do I feel like sleeping outside and not showering? And like, also, she does sketchy things like hitchhike and like go to random.
I have tried to hitchhike.
I have too, but lady, like, still,
it's not as a dependable mode of transportation,
and not in like Montana Ho, which is like the Montana Idaho border, where there are a lot of sketchy people right there. But anyway, well, I digress. I feel you with that, lady.
Yeah. And it's funny because like that's part of the trolls in some of the comments is like, oh, you're not a real backpacker because you haven't done one of these long trails. And I'm like, well, I have a job. I have other things in my life that I don't want to give up for 6 months because I'm a slow hiker. So it would take me 6 months, and that's totally okay. And once I like embraced that part and decided that like I'm interested in shorter long trails, like the 300s and under, and like decided that trying to be this person who portrays hiking as like the one way to live life is not me, I started having a lot more fun making my stuff that I post. And it's all about having fun because like people can tell when you're faking it, and people can tell when it's not authentic.
Yeah. Oh, lady, you know me. I'm geeking out right now. I'm like, authenticity, because I felt the same way with Feel Good Social. And I think that anyone can feel this way with their brand too. It's just feels so much better when you can actually like embrace who you are, when you're not trying to be someone, because that's not good for the people who are watching you trying to be someone and them calling you out and you being like having to like live up to this pressure or something else. Like, no, if you can just like say like, no, this is who I am. And then almost, okay, have you found this? I find it's easier, although, like maybe it's the trolls that I create in my head, because I really haven't been trolled that
Those
much.
are the worst.
The trolls in your head are the worst. Oh my gosh, I feel like there's a meme out of that. Okay, I will think about that later. But yeah, it's like once I embraced who I was, and it's like, yeah, I don't really like social media that much, or yeah, I hate the algorithm too, and it's always changing, and I don't always know what's gonna happen on it. And so like when I just started embracing that message of things that like people were trying to maybe shame me for, and I say people, and I do mean the trolls in my head were trying to shame me for that, but like it almost makes it easier to like laugh at them. It makes it so much more fun, easy, enjoyable to show up for your brand. You guys, like, Sharadyn is living it. Let's like all be like her, ladies. Are you ready to easily create social media content that feels on brand and looks beautiful without breaking the bank or wasting your precious time? Our new brand vibe bundles are here, my friend. These digital bundles will give you everything you need to easily show up on social media with cohesive content that feels like your brand. You simply have to choose the bundle that best fits your brand's vibe, and you'll be on your way to posting with ease. Check them out at feelgoodsocial.com/brand vibe bundles. Each of our differently branded bundles includes 80 plus customizable Canva social media templates, 6 Lightroom presets for easy one-click photo editing, 30 in-depth social post prompts, plus a guide to your brand vibe with a description of your vibe's personality, power words, and additional suggested color palettes, font pairings, and graphic elements. I know these bundles are exactly what you've been looking for to finally show up consistently and cohesively on Instagram for your brand without breaking the bank or wasting your precious time. Just head to feelgoodsocial.com/brand vibe bundles and you'll find all the information there. All right, let's dive into today's episode. But yes, I love that so much, lady. And honestly, too, I just have to say, you've done more backpacking than I have and living out. I only have done one overnight backpacking trip. I've done a lot of hiking, but I haven't done like the overnight backpacking stuff and all that different stuff. So I'm very excited to learn from you. And I want to ask you a few questions about like backpacking and hiking stuff at the end, but I really quickly want to talk about reels.
Yes.
Because you have been killing it with the reels. We had a conversation in the DMs, guys, because Sharadyn, you grew your following by a lot in like a short period just from reels, right? Can you tell us about this?
Yeah. So I filmed my first reel like end of July, beginning of August, and it was not great, if I must say. But I didn't seriously start trying them and like paying attention to how I was using them until October, November-ish. And at that point, I had around 500 followers. And as I was practicing and like figuring out what works, what doesn't work, in January, I had 2 reels go viral. And viral is different for everyone, but viral for me was anything over 50,000 views. And so really between November and the end of January, I had 3 viral ones. One has over 100,000. One has over 60,000, and then another one is creeping that 50,000 mark. Mm-hmm. And one of them that I gained 1,000 followers in a week and a half, just from one of them. And I'm hanging out about 2,600-ish now. Mm-hmm. And it's all because of these reels. Because I'll even go through right now and it's still like, this person followed you right after they liked a reel, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's the same one. And that reel is one that gathered a lot of comments that I wouldn't call troll comments. Just a little bit of hard pills to swallow comments,
right?
But yeah, so the difference between those and the ones that maybe didn't even hit the 1,000 view mark, because my view count is usually under 5,000 views on a reel. Mm-hmm. That's fine. It is what it is.
Well, let me just say this for our listeners too, guys. I think my highest reel has had like 3,000 views. and honestly too, I've been playing around with, we're currently in a challenge that I've set for myself to go for 30 reels in 30 days. I'm trucking along, guys. I didn't think I would make it. We're on day 19. We will see. I think I see the finish line. It's great. But it's okay to not have like that many views on reels, and it doesn't happen to everyone, so just wanted to say that for the listeners too, who are like, but I'm like so impressed with your reels. So yes, tell us what's the difference then.
So the difference is a topic that people care about and what that means. So the one that I have that comes explicitly to my mind was I posted 3 places in Colorado that require a backpacking permit and the release dates, because for those who aren't in the backpacking world, January, February, and March are like permit season. It's when all of the permits go on sale, and it's usually like a mad rush to recreation.gov, and there's lots of emotion involved because your computer's crashing, the site's crashing, and
it's the Black Friday of backpacking.
It is. It really is. And so I posted these dates, and I kind of make a point to only post things that are easily Googleable,
Googleable.
because if it's on the first page of Google, it's public knowledge, in my opinion. So, and also one of the places I posted started permits last year. So it's still a new system, and it's a place I see all the time on Instagram. And so from my perspective, I would rather someone know it requires a permit than to gatekeep that knowledge. And so
I see where this is going. Could you tell? I was like, where is this going? Okay, guys, because Coloradans and hikers probably are a little bit, feisty when it comes to, making certain information known, because it is very crowded in this state at this point and getting more crowded. Okay, so people don't want you to share that information because they don't want everyone in the whole state to know about this, because they want first dibs and they want to enjoy their peacefulness.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2 were national parks. 2 out of my 3 were national parks. And last year it was a mess with Rocky Mountain National Park, which is one of the places I shared. And this year they redid the system, so it is different. So that's why I included that one. Plus, like, it's a national park. If that is a surprise or you're mad about me sharing a national park, I'm sorry. And then another one was a national park as well. And then the other one was a popular hot spring. So I shared this reel. A lot of people saw it because I used a trending sound, and I can't tell you what it was at this point.
Oh, I'm sure it might not. Who knows if it's trending or not anymore.
Exactly. But at the time, it had about 10,000 reels on the sound. So it was gaining popularity, but it wasn't like past its prime. And I hadn't seen it all over the place yet. So that's when I was like, okay, I'll use that sound. And then I did a heated topic that would get people going. So in the comment, there were people who told me not to share these places and all this other stuff. And some good conversations sparked from that, of like the whole leave no trace conversation came up. And what that is about how to be a good steward of the outdoors and to not destroy it, essentially. And a conversation about why these permits exist got brought up. So those are good things that I left, even though they weren't the most comfortable with how they started. And so I used a trending sound. I used 3 things versus a whole bunch of things, so it was easy for people to keep track of. I kept it under like around 7 seconds. And then in my caption, I said, tag your adventure buddy or something like that. So that way it got more people to see it. And then my call to action in the actual reel itself was to follow for more Colorado. And I like words. As you can tell, I'm a little long-winded. So
girl, I am eating it up. I know our listeners are soaking this up right now too. So do not worry.
Yeah. So by keeping the call to action short in the actual reel itself, instead of like follow for more beginner outdoor tips, tricks, hacks, all this other stuff, that's too fast. That's too many words to read in such a short amount of time. So I just made it really short, even though to me it doesn't make sense. It apparently made sense to other people. So by doing 2 different calls to action, I increased my reach. And then I also gained the followers because it tells them what they need to do, like follow. And I've noticed that using less coy call to actions is what's useful. Because like before I was like, oh, don't forget to share with a friend, instead of like tag, because tagging, you are still sharing it. You're not hitting the little airplane, but whatever. Or if like I want them to follow me, and now I'll just say follow along for whatever is related to the topic that I'm posting about. And so my more successful reels have been very direct with what I want the viewer to do. And they're not the long ones. They're the shorter ones.
My goodness. I love these tips so much. Okay, guys. So keep them short, keep them very direct. Firstly, oh girl, you hit me in the gut when you talked about the coy call to actions, because that's me. That's something I need to learn. But you're so right. And especially when it comes to the reel, I love that you shared that little tip. Like, so guys, a call to action, it's what's the next action that you want your person to take. So it's a great idea for reels too, especially to put a call to action in the reel itself at the end. And then also in the caption. Double whammy. Love that tip. And make them kind of different then, but like still very direct, easy, And that's one of those things too. Oh man, when it comes to Instagram, we get so caught up in our own heads and like knowing what we know and knowing our own
Yep.
business that we forget to like take ourselves out of it and like put ourselves in the headspace of like the person who is consuming your content, right? Like, do they even know like how to share, like how to share this with a friend? My mom the other day, like legit, this happened this week actually. She's like, so I'm seeing all of these giveaway posts on Instagram and they tell me to like tag someone. How do I tag someone? So she didn't even know how to. I was like, she's like, is it that the pound sign? I was like, no, Mom, that's a hashtag. I was like, if you want to tag me, go for it. It's at, and then you type out my handle. So it's Feel Good Social. It's not Kinsey. She's like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm making my mom sound more like a granny than she is, but it was still a real conversation. And so, yeah, exactly. Like be direct, make sure you take yourself out of people's heads. Oh man, I loved how you said follow for more Colorado. That like, that's one of those things I'm going to make a mental note for myself because for sure it's one of those things, me as like a word person, I'm like, I would have trouble putting that, right? But it's one of those things you need to like, it's okay. You don't have to write a full sentence. Like, you know, like you're allowed to like not freaking conform to all the rules that we've been taught elementary school through college on Instagram, you know? So thank you for sharing that too, lady.
Yeah. And I found that like, even with my non-viral reels, when their call to action is in the actual reel itself, it's been more helpful. And this is a guess as to why. It's not science, but I don't know if you've ever tried to read a caption on a reel in the reel feed, but it is annoying because the letters go into the video and there's like you lose the letters to the background and that drives me crazy. So by putting it in the actual video, can't miss it.
Yes. Yeah. I know. No, I know what you mean too. And it does. It bothers me too because I'm such a caption person. Like, what the hell are you doing to me, Instagram? You know, but it's true, right? We have to adapt. We have to learn how to. I love that we're getting in this conversation because there's certain things that we wish like we could happen, you know, and then sometimes stubborn people like me decide, well, you know, middle finger to you, I'm just going to keep doing it. But it's not hurting Instagram if I do something dumb that probably isn't recommended. It's hurting me and my brand. So like sometimes you just have to get over yourself, guys, and just like do things in the most strategic way, right?
That's why I started doing reels. I was anti-reels for a very long time. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a try.
Yeah. So like overall, do you think that like the reels like have been helping you grow your following of the right people, you know? Like do you think the reels have been worth it for that sort of thing?
Yeah. I think so. I do try and go to the profile of every new follower just to like see what they're about. And my target audience, to use a marketing term, is someone who's new to the outdoors. So when I go to their profile and there's like a hike sprinkled in here, their cat sprinkled in there, and it's just like sprinkles of outdoors, that's how I know that that is like a right follower for me. And there's been a lot more of that. And I think it's because people like to save posts or like save videos as like inspiration. And like I'm guilty of it. I can't tell you how many posts I have of recipes saved that I want to make someday. And I've never made them, but they've been saved for 2 years kind of deal. So by having those reels, I think it really has increased my page reach. I've noticed that my actual posts, not my reels, are getting put on the explore page because when you go into your insights now, it'll tell you like hashtags, followers, explore page. They've added that little criteria.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is. And the amount of explore pages I've gotten onto isn't incredible, at least for me. I think it's incredible for me.
Yeah.
Somebody else would just be like, oh, that's just like a Tuesday. But
girl, for me and for like, I'm probably most of our listeners, like you are incredible, right? Like that's so awesome. Hell yeah. And I love that you shared that. I don't think I realized that they added that explore part to the insights you said.
Yes. Okay. It's been in like the past few days. I'm one of the weirdos who like checks insights every day.
Guys. No, but it's a good idea. I have been too, especially like trying to do this like reels challenge for
Mhm.
myself. That like
Yeah.
to kind of explore what's working and really get curious about that sort of thing. And it's a good idea to check your insights and stuff, like and gauge like the statistics along with like the feeling of the post in the moment, don't you think?
Yeah. I think so. I also like to use it just, and I'm not like emotionally connected to my metrics, which like if you're emotionally connected to your metrics, maybe don't look at it every day. But I like to just know things. And like most of my reach comes from reels. And you can see that in the breakdown. And
Mhm.
it's like 93% or something silly high of where my reach comes from is reels. And
Mhm.
so that's why I like them. I don't even post them all the time. It's like one a week at most.
Yeah. Do you, at this point, now that you've been doing reels for month, 2 months, did you say, do you feel like you can kind of predict if a reel is gonna like really hit home and perform well, or if it's like probably not going to, or anything like that?
Yeah, like if it's one of those like three this, five that, like a number with a tip or a number with whatever, those do really well. People like short bulleted lists. It makes us
Mhm.
feel good for some reason.
Mhm.
Uh, but also the timing. So I posted one reel a night or two ago, and it was like at 9 o'clock, and it flopped. It flopped really hard, which is fine. Not every post is going to be a hero post. So like not posting right before bed, I would.
I'm like laughing so hard. I know, because I know you like probably
Yeah,
don't post like right before the world's about to go to sleep. Like your world is about to go to sleep, right?
yeah.
Like,
So I've noticed like if I post in the morning or in the afternoon, like mid afternoon, I get more. So time is definitely a factor, at least for me, of what will do well and what won't. But pretty much any bulleted list will get me, my average view count. So
yeah, okay, cool. But like you still post super relatable reels too, I've noticed, like funny
yeah,
ones and stuff like that. Um, like why do you continue to post those if like maybe they don't perform as well?
I think I'm hilarious. And so those are way more fun for me to make. And like it's still my page, right? Like, yes, it has a purpose and like I want it to do one thing, but like if I'm not having fun, it's a job.
Mhm. Yep, lady, like hands it up over here because like I am the same way. Like I, oh my gosh, I think that that exact same sentence came out of my mouth the other day. Like, I was like, well, I think I'm hilarious, so this reel's like going out and stuff. But also, I think too, and it's so funny. I had this conversation with someone in the DMs yesterday where like different posts have different purposes, right?
Hmm.
And like, while yes, we want to be posting content that might perform really well, like, here's the thing too, like, visibility is not always the goal for every single post. And people get
Yeah.
so caught up in the visibility and the growth and the numbers, all that different stuff, and it's like, okay, well, what if you want to just post a hilarious meme that is like nurturing your connection with your followers who you do have now, right?
Yeah.
Like there's different purposes for different posts. And so yeah, I was telling someone the other day, it's like, okay, like she's like, well, my last post just performed like super, super well. So like I kind of feel like this post is gonna flop, And I was like, oh gosh,
So what?
me with I know, well, me with the tough love sometimes, and then I kind of like, well, I backtrack or whatever. But I was like, girl, it's gonna flop. Like, look at the difference between these two posts. You posted a carousel the other day of like these awesome photos of you, and you were doing something that was like celebrating, and everyone wants to celebrate with you. Also, it was your first post in a while, and all that stuff.
Yep.
And now you're about to post something that like it doesn't really concern your entire audience and like whatever, but it's still good to post it because of XYZ, like
Yeah.
it's okay to post things that don't always perform the best, whether it's for you, because you might be the only one who finds this hilarious in the entire world, but hey, like I posted a reel like that the other day. So I'm like loving that example. But you know what I mean? Like, thank you for giving us
Yeah.
that permission, lady.
Yeah. I think my most favorite reel I've ever done has like 100 views, but I think
Mhm.
it's the funniest thing that I've ever made. And, like
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be a hit every single time.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, lady, I knew I could talk to you forever. I told you this at the beginning of the episode, and I know Brett's going to walk through the door really soon to watch this
Yeah, no
hockey
worries.
game. So, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited to have you in the Feel Good Social Club as well. Can you please tell everyone where they can connect with you, find out more about you? Because I know everyone's going to want to do that.
Yeah, so my Instagram page is Sharadyn Realms, and my name is spelled weird. It's Sharadyn, and then the word Roams. And that's where you can find me on Instagram, and my website's the same. And those are my two places.
Yay. Okay. Well, we'll link everything in the show notes too, just so that we don't have to worry about spelling or anything like that.
Yeah.
But lady, I love this conversation. And I know I could have talked to you for so much longer. So I probably will have to bring you back on for another interview. But thank you for showing up. And thanks for doing this interview on the Feel Good Social podcast, lady.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
How wonderful was Sharadyn, you guys? I absolutely love this lady so much. I truly myself hope to go hiking with her this summer. We will see. We will try to make that happen. But make sure if you have any hiking tips, if you have questions, if you have any thoughts about this episode or anything like that, we would both love to connect with you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to your Instagram stories. Make sure that you tag both of us. I'm at Feel Good Social. Sharadyn is at Sharadyn Roams, because, we would love to connect with you over there. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, my friend, and I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.